What's up, guys? So check it out. Game of Thrones has finally come to an end, and we all need to find new shows to watch. Better for worse, Game of Thrones is over, and most of you are probably wondering what you should watch now that you don't have Game of Thrones. So I've heard some weird stuff about like people needing counseling now because they didn't like the ending of Game of Thrones, or like other weird stuff like people just don't know what to do with their lives because the show's over, or they don't have anything else to watch or like do with their lives. So if that's you and you're that upset over how a show ended or just that it's over in general, go get a hobby and do something with your life. Otherwise, if you're just trying to figure out what else to watch, I'm going to start out with a couple of recommendations that aren't on HBO, but most of them are actually other shows that are on HBO. So, on Netflix, if you have Netflix, one of them that I really liked was, well, I think part of it's on Netflix, and that's Vikings. Also, obviously it's from the History Channel. They bought the rights to it. It's not exactly historically accurate, especially with the costumes. The costumes are a little bit off historically, but it's not meant to be necessarily a historical film. It's just like a good show, and I really liked it. So I even liked it better than Game of Thrones. And I was watching Game of Thrones first, and then when I went back to Game of Thrones after watching Vikings, I have to say, Viking wins hands down. Another good one that's a Netflix original is Marco Polo. If you have Netflix, highly recommend Marco Polo. Give it a look, give it a watch. There's not even that many seasons, so you don't have that much work to do to catch up. So, cool beans. That one actually is more or less historical. I mean, there's not a lot known about Marco Polo, so they can kind of do whatever they want, and they did a pretty good job. Pretty good fight sequences as well, and it just looks pretty good, and the acting is good, and the plot is also good, so, and the costumes and even the cities later on are pretty cool too, so give that one a look if you have a chance. Marco Polo. From the HBO side of things, there's a lot of stuff you can watch besides that. They have a new show called Chernobyl, which is kind of cool, but at the same time it gets a little bit long-winded. Even Deadwood, it's one I'm watching now, but it's sometimes a little boring, but it's a good Western, so if you're into Westerns, it's like a series on the West and like the town of Deadwood. They even made a movie about it too, which I haven't seen yet because I'm trying to get caught up on the actual series first, but there's that. Also, if you're into like war movies, it's not really the same as Game of Thrones, but HBO has a lot of stuff for that. Band of Brothers is probably the most like famous one. If you haven't seen it, give it a look. John Adams, not a war movie, but good movie, also on HBO, and very historically accurate, and just very cool show from the time period. Interesting, good plot, good acting, highly recommend. And The Pacific, not as good as some of the other war movies in my opinion, but still pretty cool. It's about the Marines in the Pacific, so hoorah, Marine Corps. And lastly, another Marine one, Generation Kill. One of my favorite HBO shows of all times is probably Generation Kill. So a lot of those are war movies. If you're not into war movies and you just want to watch like all the drama and stuff that was in Game of Thrones, you can watch Vikings, but even that has more fighting than Game of Thrones and less like drama. So hopefully that gives you a good start, and if not, keep looking. Out.